Well, hello everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing with my friends April and Jay Matta. And this is our second session of the Quantum Business Show,
I
which
love
was
it.
Jay's brainchild.
It's a connection brainchild. It's all interconnected.
Well, the thing is that I am so excited because we're capturing what we take for granted, the way that we walk in the world, and trying to share that in a different way, because our values and our worldview is pretty different than the average business owner, wouldn't you
Right.
say?
I would
Most
100% say.
definitely.
Yeah. So that's why I was really excited to do this, because I think the value of this is going to be remarkable. And it may be just in the perfect time. So hopefully. So why don't we start with this? Because we got to introduce Jay last time. April, why don't we start with you if we could, while I go and tag some people on the other side. So if you would explain a little bit about your concept about quantum business, if you would, and how you envision it making a difference.
My concept of quantum vision is really learning, mostly more than anything, learning how to utilize your intuition, learning how to tap into your higher self, learning how to trust the messages that are coming through. From my perspective, doing business the traditional way is prehistoric, and it doesn't have longevity, and it's very draining, and it's exhausting. And I think a lot of people can relate to working 40 to 60 hours a week, and you feel like you're giving it all, your all, but you're not catching the traction that you really want to catch, and you're physically exhausted. You don't have enough time at the end of the day or the end of the week to spend time with your family and your loved ones, or even just decompress and unwind. Your mind is always constantly thinking and running and spinning, and you're not allowing yourself the time to decompress your mind, to retrieve the messages. When you start working, and I consider that a very 3D version of working. When you start working at higher levels of consciousness, whether, everybody calls it something different, whether it's 4D or 5D, or I just like to refer to it as working from a higher level of consciousness, you realize then that instead of chasing the business, because every time you chase anything, whether it's a relationship, a business, or a sale, it slips through your fingers or it runs the other way, and it doesn't usually end very well. When you release from the attachment of it and you work from a higher level of consciousness, and instead of chasing it, you start attracting it by raising your vibration, by taking the time to have the well-being and putting your well-being in the forefront.
Right.
When you start eating high vibrational foods, when you start taking time for yourself, and it opens up the channel between you and whether you want to call it your higher self or your God consciousness, the business starts to flow effortlessly.
Yep.
And you realize that now, Jesus, instead of working 8 to 10 hours and exhausting myself to death, I can work more efficiently, and I get done in 4 hours what would normally take me 10 hours.
Right.
So the business now goes from the business controlling you to you control the business. And that is a major, massive dynamic shift in your lifestyle and your business.
Yes, yes. I was cheering you in the background. The thing is, it's the difference between push or magnetize. So you're drawing everything to you because it's a like vibration, and you're in the flow. So it's effortless. It's almost like your natural being is revealed. So you're totally authentic. You're totally in frequency. But what I find, I've been doing this for 24 years, is that it's, you recognize when you're in the flow, but a lot of times without someone's help to help guide you, to reveal you to you, it's hard to see. Oh, good. Victoria's here. She says, fun seeing you all together. Hi.
Hi, Victoria. Miss you. Love
There's a
you.
blast from the present.
Yeah. That's how I met you guys, was through her.
Everybody
I
meets
love
everybody through
Victoria.
Victoria. Victoria should be the mayor.
She is.
So, well, but anyway, what we're talking about is we're talking about a new way of being totally authentic in every relationship, whether it's business or in your personal relationship, where you are standing in your knowing instead of a facade, like wearing your cloak to fit this relationship and this environment and this event. All of that's gone. All of that, it's like you just showing up as the glorious you. But you have to learn how to do that, I think, huh?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you tagged on something you just kind of glazed over, but I want to address it. What you were starting to say was mentorship, right? Everyone, I don't care what type of business you're in, every single solitary person needs a mentor to get them. You want to have a mentor that's already where you want to be, because they already know how to do it and they know how to do it quickly, and you will save yourself an enormous amount of time, energy, and finances if you find the right mentor in the industry or the niche or the genre that you really want to catapult yourself in.
And if you can look at it openly like that, and a lot of that's letting go of our ego stuff, if you would, like, oh, I can do it all. I can learn how to do this. I can learn how to do that. I can do my own this, all my own that, and everything like that. When you think about it, by the time you figure it out, or the traditional business person that tries to take on this whole concept of let me go to the internet and make money, if you would, by the time they figured out every component of their business, which is and most business people, for the most part, they start with the back end first, meaning they try to start with, let me get this tightened up before I launch. Let me get this, do this. And yeah, there's a good timing for launches and everything. But along the way, you want to be thinking about that, all that beautiful stuff that you set up and you spend all these hours and hours figuring out what to do. It's only as good as the amount of people that know who you are. Yep. So, we were coming from a world of like, kind of like what you said, Kathy, is like, get the authenticity to shine. Because then naturally what happens is that the people that are supposed to, and I want to say supposed to, so this way you release attachment with, why maybe isn't that person with me, or that person, maybe they're just not supposed to. So you got to let that go. There's a lot of people out there, right? But if you start to resonate and you start to get the right people that are seeking you out, like you were saying, it's like, you've already done it. We have to learn to find people that are already doing what we're doing and reach out to them for counsel, because that's all we have. And that's really the best way to do it.
It's the easiest way to compress time.
Yep.
If you want to get to A to Z in the most quickest and efficient manner, find someone who's already there. It just makes the most common, best business sense.
Exactly. I'm going to add something to it. So I also believe that if you talk to April and Jay or me, we've been doing this long enough that we have built up a network. And when you go to a mentor, or you go to a consultant, or you go in a group that's all working together like that, you get a benefit of their network. So that's like, instead of climbing up a hill, you can run straight up a hill, because if they mentor you correctly, you get access to their network. I had a reading by Joan of Angels that she said she saw me as a mother duck with all my ducklings. and at first it was like, ew. I didn't like it. But then after that, I kind of realized that, hey, that's not a bad thing. I do try to bring, just like you guys. I mean, Jay, April, I haven't gotten as many phone calls from you as I have from Jay, but Jay's always calling, going, hey, I got something. Do you think your people need it? I mean, he's always trying to help me help my people. And I mean, that's what happens when you have a good network, right?
It is. That's the
Absolutely.
best, having a great network. It really is, because we spent this time, we spent these years on our resources, and we don't look at it like that. Like, oh, it's hard. We look at it as like, this is really good. We're blessed to have had this
Share it.
experience. We're blessed to have been able to build these networks, maintain, and have developed that. So if we can help make other people's lives easier along the way, then why not? I mean,
Well, really, that's the whole essence of the 5D economy. It's creating abundance by helping others create abundance, the way it was always meant to be. And if you have the philosophy of helping others, you're just naturally going to create abundance and prosperity for yourself.
Yeah, it's great. And then, you know, we live in a world right now where I think more and more people are appreciative of just being able to be part of a mutually beneficial relationship. So if we can really be very transparent, very authentic about, you know, what the relationship's about, that's how things source. Like any relationship, a business relationship is no different. It's just that's the more transparency you have in that relationship, the more that you can say, look, you know, this is what I want. What do you want out of it? Let's see how we can do it together. That's fitting into each other's plans and realizing that everybody's got different dreams and different goals and different desires. So if we can help each other with each of those dreams, goals, and desires, that makes for a pretty cool existence.
Much more fun too.
Yeah,
and also expansive. You're learning all the time. I mean, I've been doing this for 24 years. And everything keeps changing, which is why I like it. That I mean, AI just changed everything. It's fantastic. I know some people don't like it, but I love it.
I love it.
you know, I think
a lot of time. Well, okay, so you brought up something just now that I wanted to talk about, was about business. You guys are in partnership in business. I know from my experience with you that you've had big YouTube channels and then lost them. You have whatever the chemistry is that you guys have. It's a can-do partnership where you take left, I take right, or something. I'm not sure how you do it because I've never asked you before, but I know where I'm putting you on the spot, but I'd love if you could talk about that, because as many people know, a lot of family businesses are wrought with problems where there's sons or daughters or relatives inside that are just couldn't find another job, and so go to Uncle Jim.
Charity begins at home.
Go to Aunt April; she'll get you a job. So,
right.
So anyway, I just thought if you could talk about that, because I do think this is another part of the quantum business formula is relationships.
Yes. I'm going to take it apart in two. Hiring family. Don't do it. That is the first thing. Unless, and here is the caveat, unless they are highly qualified for the position that you have in mind for them. If you're hiring them just because, that is a recipe for disaster. It never ends well, because if they're not an expert in what you need them to be an expert in, you know what's going to happen? You're going to become resentful. And then you're going to get angry that they're not doing their job to the best of their ability. And that is going to immediately create internal conflict. So my first suggestion is do not hire family unless they are seriously qualified. That's number one. Number two, if you are in a business relationship like Jay and I, or you have a partnership and you live in the same household, I can only speak from experience, but our relationship, the way that it is now, did not happen overnight. Okay. Let's be very clear. Let's be very honest. It's a progression that we've worked on for the past 22 years. And it wasn't always a smooth road. There was a lot of conflict between the two of us, and we had to figure our own shit out first. And when you start figuring and working on your own self first, And you realize that when you do have a conflict within your business or which is now your household, and you start taking it out on the other person, and you're pointing the finger at the other person, blaming it on them, you have to come to a point in your life and realize, why am I taking it out on them? What is going on with my own self that I need to fix because I'm projecting my issues onto this other person? So when you grow within your own self enough to be able to look in the mirror and say, geez, what is going wrong with me? What am I doing wrong that I'm vomiting it on someone else, when chances are maybe it's not their fault? Maybe it is something that I'm doing that is causing this conflict. That's one thing. The next thing, that if you're in a relationship with your person that you're in business with, you have to clearly define your roles. This took us a very long time to figure out or really work out, because Jay and I came from the same background, financial services. We're both very strong-minded people. And he has a strong idea. I have a strong idea. We're both very successful at what we do. But when we cross into each other's lane, and he starts telling me what to do, or I start telling him what to do, that's going to cause some serious conflict, right? Because I think I know better and he thinks he knows better. But when you clearly define your roles and you say, this is what you're best at, you take care of this. This is what you're best at, you take care of that. You're going to create peace and harmony. So before, even though Jay and I both have sales backgrounds, Jay takes the lead in the selling of our business. I take the lead in the marketing of our business. When Jay starts to cross over and tell me how to market, there's an issue. If I cross over into Jay and start telling him how to sell, there's going to be an issue. But you stay in your lane, I stay in my lane, we're going to create a lot of money, and there's going to be a lot of harmony along the way.
Wonderful. Jay, did you want to say anything too?
No, I totally agree. It's definitely for the strong at heart. I tell you, it is. It most certainly is. I mean, but yeah, like, we've gotten to the point, like, if we do, because look, we're in a business relationship with it. But it's pretty much like, if I start to go in there, or April starts to go in my lane, if you would, we're pretty much, our response is, you're more than welcome to try out my gig for a day and see what you think. And it's like, oh, no, I'm good. You do your thing. Because then you start to really realize. So that response, instead of getting in a dispute per se, that response generally triggers I don't want to deal with that. I'm not going to, because then you really start to look at what the other person is doing. I think that if the more and more, partnerships, or, the advantage of being in a personal relationship and in business is that when we do get the wins, like, it's not just me saying, or April saying, oh, I just had the most amazing day today. I just got this and I got this and I got this. And just trying to describe what you did for a client. Well, generally, if you're not in the same business with the
person you're
living with, their response is, way to go, I'm proud of you, glad, what do you want for dinner?
Job.
But in this particular case, that person really gets, they're like, well, what happened? And they drill down with you, like, how did we do that? How do we duplicate that? You know what I mean? So you get into that energy with it. So that's a really, for us, that's a really big thing, because it's when we have the highs or the lows, we really, truly, in this particular case, can understand, like, oh, what the hell happened? Okay, let's strategy plan here. This is what you do. So there is that advantage, and I think from a human element standpoint, Kathy, is that if you're in a relationship of some sort and you really want to, I think for us, it was always important to understand what each other went through. And I think that's such a big thing for people. And I think that if you have that, then you really do have that, not just I love you support, like I love you because I have to, because we're in a relationship, but I love you because we got to figure this shit out together. So let's roll up the sleeves and get down into it. It's a different level, and it really is. It really you grow not only as a business, but you grow as personal. So if you have the courage as a couple or anything like that to do it, try it. You know what I mean? But then use people like us that have gone through it and said, look, what took us all years to get here and the bumps, so we can tell you, stay in each other's lane.
Stay out of
each other's lane. Let the other one do what they do. recognize them, cherish them, but don't let the business absorb
the relationship
either. You gotta, there's not always that gotta.
Which is why we talked about in the beginning the difference between the 3D business philosophy and the 5D, where you're working from a higher consciousness, because when you are in that lower vibrational frequency, it is very, very easy to have the business consume your life, the business consume your relationship, the business consume everything.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to have balance, right? Because if you don't have balance in your life, it's just going to cause complete chaos in everything.
Right. Well, I want to add something too. When you were talking about, saying something and blaming something on someone else, I was told, when you point your finger, you should look at that one finger is going out and the other three are going back towards you.
Right.
So that's
good.
That is really good.
I like that.
And the other thing that I find I found, not necessarily in this business, but in other businesses, is that having a plan, having at least some idea of what you're doing together, so you can teamwork and you can communicate and all get on the same page, really makes a difference. And it helps you build the wins. So if you have milestones for your plan, or if you get everybody playing the game of it, it's a totally different thing than you just being a leader and hoping that everyone's still on the ship, not jump ship. I did a project one time. This was maybe 15 years ago, down in Denver, where we made these beautiful stainless steel water features. And we went from $150,000 to $1 million in 1 year in revenue.
Wow.
And it was from product improvement and from what the marketing plan, the strategic marketing plan that we all did. There were 4 guys and me. Almost all of them were some of them were union guys out making stainless steel products. And then a couple of people from the front, which in a manufacturing environment, that's a different communication altogether, because the engineers and the people in the front office consider themselves better than the people in the back office. Anyway, but we put a plan together and we all you take left, I'll take right. And it was like everyone dropped their ego. And that's how we could do $1 million 10 times the business in 1 year.
Exactly.
And so I know that works, and that's worked time after time and time again, because what happens is that we think everybody sees the world and understands it the way we do, and they don't. And so the time that it takes to communicate and doing it piece by piece, I don't find is as good as the overall view. It's like playing chess and you're playing it standing up versus looking at it on the board, where the board, you might not be able to see the next move as easily as seeing it from the big plan picture. So that's the other part that I think, in my experience, I don't know. What do you guys think about planning?
Well, I think a big change for me at a personal level, or I think a game changer for me, was realizing when we hire people or we have subcontractors, if you would, a lot of businesses, especially in the spiritual world, because they feel very connected, they get these messages, they get this divine, all of a sudden there's this thing of well, my vision is now your vision. You know what I mean? And I think the biggest eye opener for us and how we have noticed our business go much easier in this is realizing that the people around us, while they're employed by us or subcontracted by us, it's not necessarily their vision. So the 5D economy really embraces the fact of okay, well, we got our vision, which is the 5D mystics. You got your vision. It's what can we do to help you? You know what I mean? It's really embracing and harnessing someone else's vision. Now what happens is, strategically, Kathy, whether they're an employee or a subcontractor, all hands do go on deck, because it really is about supporting each other through their own thing. It's not just saying, well, you know what, I think I got the greatest thing since sliced bread, so why don't you just do my thing and my thing only? Well, that just may not be their stream of consciousness. They literally just maybe they're just to collect their paycheck, and that's just what it is. But if you can realize that that person collecting their paycheck has dreams and desires also, and you want to know what they are, then you can say, look, hey, along the way, you know, by the way, this can help you. The plans seem to work a lot better because you really are showing compassion, and you really are not putting your values on them. You're letting them have their existence too. So that thought process, that multidimensional thought process, which we call the 5D economy, has really been, I would say, game changing for our business, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great definition of a servant leader, because the servant leader not only cares deeply about their customers, they care deeply about the evolution, and in every level, spiritual, mental, physical evolution of their employees, because they see it as everything is a team, a circle, and you can
It's
see
energy.
that. Right. Well, it's also that you can see it. It started, a lot of this teamwork started in the IT world, in technology, where they would divide big projects into these little teams. When I was at Arthur Andersen running the change enablement group in this sector, we would have these teams. You'd assign people by their strengths to these teams. And now we're talking about small businesses, small quantum businesses, and these businesses can use the same kind of strategy, which is a win-win. I mean, your heart gets so full when you can watch someone evolving out of,
Oh, definitely.
and seeing their potential when you hired them, but they're scared to do it, or whatever that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
Most
sure.
definitely.
So cool. It's so cool. Okay, well, that went straight into servant leadership. Is there anything else that you wanted to say? Anything? Because I mean, you just explained it without labeling it. That it's a compassionate way of working with others that creates a win-win on every level. So, is there anything else, April, that you'd like to add about servant leadership?
I would say that you have to be it to attract it. So you can't just say it. You have to be, you have to live it, you have to really embody the energy of a servant leader, and then you will attract people and others that resonate with you. And not only do they resonate with you, but they honestly want to see you succeed. So you want to call them employees, subcontractors, friends, whoever are in integral parts of your business. When you take on that type of philosophy, they in their own right feel ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And when they feel a sense of ownership, they feel a sense of pride. And when they feel a sense of pride, they want to do well. And when they feel like they're doing well, they want to support you, and really they themselves become such better workers. They themselves become such better communicators. They themselves become much better deliverers.
Yeah.
And all the way around all the way around the whole business board, so to speak, it creates a better flow of harmony for your business.
Right. It's quantum. That's where it's multidimensional, interdimensional, whatever words you want to call it. But it like compounds, because the energy feeds itself, and the excitement feeds itself, and nothing can stop that. I mean, seriously, I mean,
Exactly.
the push, everything can stop that. But when you're in momentum like that, where people all feel heard, seen, encouraged, that somebody's got their back, which is so unusual in realities right now, because it seems like everything in in the world right now is chaotic or high contrast. That's kind of the time we're in. And so we're saying, don't do it.
Exactly. You know, honestly, it really boils down to everybody wants to feel loved.
That's right.
Everybody wants to feel appreciated. And, you know, Kathy, it's such a simplistic thing to do. It's such a simplistic act to show someone compassion and gratitude for them helping to have your business succeed.
Right, right.
Yet, corporate America has missed that boat for the most part.
Yeah. Well, they're ruling on fear.
They're rolling on fear. I mean, we're you know, it's such a three-dimensional construct of just being able to just, I'm in it for me, and I got to find my own way. And I really, you know, any small business, internet business, whatever you consider yourselves, should really try to embrace the concept of collaboration. And not just like a business owner network meeting where like all that, but real collaboration, like get in the things. I mean,
real relationships,
like,
not even like real relationship building, but real relationship building, authentic relationship building, heart-centered relationship building. That's what creates longevity, not only in your business, it creates longevity in your relationships, in abundance, in your health, in your wellness, in your well-being.
Yeah. And, you know, and I think that people can learn a lot about humility as they go through this, because we've all gone through this phase as business people. Let's face it. I mean, as business people, when we hit successes, you know, we get this thing called an ego, right? So that happens, that kicks into gear. So it's a good, humbling experience when you start to learn to work with people and really build successes together. You know, like we're doing events with people that we never thought we would do, but you collaborate at that level. It's so much more fun. It's more rewarding. There's, you know, and if every business owner can look at it and say, look, you know what, there are multiple solutions to helping me on my way, you know, then I think that lies in for a business to have a better chance of success.
You're going to flourish.
You're going to flourish. The ones that try to, you know, really just try to figure everything out themselves, they get stuck so much. And we see this as they spend hours on operational development where they never really even get to the point of starting effectively, you know. So sometimes it's good to get in a think tank. You know, listen, the president of the United States has, I don't know what, 25, 30, 40, 50 advisors. I mean, you're looking at this saying this person who is a leader of our country or of our free world has advisors. We all need to have advisors. So if we take that with not just as a one-off, with consistency, get connected with the people that, you know, and to put it bluntly, we fit into each other's plans. That's the kind of relationships you work on. And if you work on those with that kind of honesty, that kind of integrity, everybody's business is involved in that. They all seem to start to grow nicely together.
Yeah, I agree totally. And I'm so excited that people are starting to realize all the energy that's trapped in wearing the costume, being the person, being a people pleaser, being everything that you think the other wants rather than being your genuine self. Those days are over. I don't think this new time period that we're in, where it's all collaboration, it's all about communication from the heart, and working from the heart and being present and listening from that place, so that you can see how you can best serve, not listening just to answer.
Right. That's a big difference.
Yeah, you really got to serve these people. If you think about it, I mean, you know, wisdom, when people come to you to do business with you, that's a blessing. It's a real blessing. It's a real privilege to get to do that, because out of all of their options, I mean, let's face it, does anybody have the most special message in the world? We're all like restaurants. We're like a hamburger restaurant. It's like, well, which restaurant maybe is better? You know, you go to the one that you like, and it's just your vibration, right? So everybody's got these amazing messages. I think sometimes where businesses will benefit from if they realize that they're part of a community of messengers, and it's just that, hey, you know what is your vibration and why should people do that, and be really blessed and humble by when someone chooses your restaurant, if you would, or your consulting services, or it means your vibrations match. So the more and more people can focus on that vibrational match, right, then that's where they're going to start to see things versus so much, well, here's everything I can do. It's like, how do I know? Like there's times we bought on people and we know that they don't necessarily know everything we need them to do, but there's such a great vibrational match. We know that it won't take but a minute for everything to be figured out, So if you look at that, you're looking at it very pragmatically in that way.
Right. I love that. I think that's been part of my mission all along, is hold up the mirror so that people can see their own divinity. And whether it's a customer or a contractor or an employee, which I don't have, I have mostly contractors, but the idea is to help them grow, because the energy and the excitement of that, and the co-creation. I don't think, there was a reason why Jesus says when more than two or more are gathered, that there's this collaboration. I believe that is totally true. And one of the huge benefits of us being in community and helping each other is it sparks. It's like, oh, I never thought of it. Let's use it that way, not this way. And then all of a sudden that's quantum. That's quantum. It's in the field, right?
Exactly.
It is in the field. Think about it. There's professional networks like doctors. They just refer to they just work with each other. It is. They do the best. The lawyers, they do their thing. So as business people, we should start to take a look at that. Who has something that's valuable to your client? That can help them even further, and not look at it as like, oh, they're going to do that. I think the our philosophy on that. If you do a good job for your client will stay with you. If you don't, they just won't. They weren't.
You're not meant to be together.
They're not meant to be together. They got to go. But if you can obviously, be like, hey, here's some other resources for you to look at. That's the best thing, and we learn that along the way, that it does help the people, because at the end of the day, like I was sharing with you earlier, if they're blessing you with the fact of doing business with you, then it would be good for you to honor their wishes and do everything that they're wanting to do, which sometimes is involved by, like saying, bringing in other people to help them. So as business people, collaboration, finding that trusted advisor that will have your back, that you can freely do that. That's the kind of time we're in right now. It's a good time for people, if they haven't already, to start making those really solid strategic alliances.
Okay, so I have a question before we go on to the other thing I mentioned before we went on. I have a question about a lot of the people that you work with, and that sometimes the people that I work with are multidimensional and working from a fifth dimensional aspect, and they really have a hard time in 3D. Do you have any advice for how, and some people that are watching this may be that same person, that they just cannot do the bookkeeping. They cannot do the basic back office work at all, because they're so skilled in their skill, which is uniquely theirs, and may not work. It may work at a higher level, but it doesn't really translate to functioning well in this level. Could you speak to that?
I'd love to. Hire someone. And that is the God's honest truth. Hire someone who's an expert in something that you're not. Because just quickly, I'll give you an example. Jay and I, even to this day, we are like clueless when it comes to basic technology things, because that is not our wheelhouse. Our wheelhouse is doing what we do best, which is this, and consulting and having a show and teaching people how to do it. We're not technically savvy people. We never have been. We never will. I'm not interested in it. And for us to try to figure out how to snap those types of pieces together would be an incredible waste of our time and our energy. And we'll end up spending way more money trying to figure it out ourselves than to just hire someone who's already an expert in that area. So I know Jay deals with this more than I do, but he hears it a lot or feels it a lot where people are so resistant in spending money on their business. They feel like I have to wear this hat, that hat. I have to do it all. I have to upload the show. I have to market the show. I have to do this. I have to make the thumbnail. I got to do everything. Or whether, and I'm using a show as an example, but if you're an entrepreneur and you're the bookkeeper and you're the house, you're the maintenance person, and you're also the CEO and the CFO, and you're trying to wear all these other hats, you're never going to be as successful as you should be because you're doing jobs that you shouldn't be doing. The only job that you should be doing is the job that you are the most expert in. You only should be doing the job that is ringing the register the most for you. If you're doing something that's not ringing your register, it means you're wasting your time and your energy, and resource that out to someone else. And it's great because you're helping, again, the 5D economy. You're spreading the prosperity, you're spreading the wealth, you're spreading the abundance out. And then, like everything, it's going to come back to you tenfold.
Pretty passionate that one, aren't you?
Oh, I am.
Well, I think that feeds into what my next thing was. That was perfect, April. Thank you. Because I do think that there is a genius within every single person. And once it's identified, that is the gift that Source gave you to experience in this lifetime. And it's a shame if you don't get to share it. But one of the things I wanted to ask about is lifestyle business. There's this whole, in the ethers online, there's this, laptop lifestyle and all this stuff. And I don't believe it's really true. I know that because it still takes a lot of time and energy to coordinate everyone else. It's still, you may not work, 80 hours a week, but you still have to, well, I don't know. I'm still working at least 40, if not more. So, because I have to coordinate everything. And I think a lot of the people that I've been working with, and that I would say over the past 24 years, the thing I had to ask them is this a hobby or is this a business? Because a lot of people don't really have that conversation with themselves because their lifestyle is interfering with their service to others. Could you speak to that a little bit?
So, just dealing with a lot of those similar conversations is you're absolutely right. The internet does one hell of a job selling a laptop lifestyle. Different industries like network marketing or course creations, you can live a laptop lifestyle. But the reality and what happens is it does such a great job doing it that people then have the false sense of like, well, I don't really have to spend money on my business. Mm-hmm. I don't have to do this because they said it only costs $7 for this and I should be able to be a gazillionaire. So there's a lot of that going on. I think if we can take a look at practical, Kathy, like what you said, you got to put the time in. Okay, let's be real about this. You have to put the time in. It's just how you do the time. So for example, yeah, we work, we do our thing, but the time we do it in a different way where it's really kind of part of our existence in it, that it's not like, I got to work this thing today. We just weave it in and out of our day. So sometimes we're on a Sunday doing it. Sometimes we're on a Saturday doing it, but it becomes the balance of our day. We do that because it starts to bring in the energy and the force of saying like, look, we're responsible business owners. We have to do what we do. We balance it out. We know when we need to spend money on our businesses. And then eventually, you're going to get to a point where it can be, but to think and just be like, let me buy a $199 course and I have a laptop lifestyle and that's it, I plug and play. It doesn't happen. Yeah, of course it does. But there's got to be that discipline, the mindset, the connection with the multidimensional to be able to start manifesting these things. But that, sometimes it takes a minute.
Okay. April, did you want to add anything there?
I thought of something and then it just, we hear this a lot because we are very proactive about hiring other people to do the things that we cannot do ourselves or don't want to exert the time and energy into it because that's not our wheelhouse. And we hear a lot people say, well, I can't afford to hire someone.
Mm.
But you have to find a way to take off of your plate the things that are not making you money. And when you start to do that, you'll realize all of a sudden you have the money to pay the people that you thought you didn't have the money to pay them for, because you're now making more money because you're doing the things that you do best.
Yep.
And you're not wasting time, energy, and resources on the things that don't make you feel happy.
Yeah, this is perfect. So the next thing I wanted to segue to is the morning routine, because I truly believe that so much of success, especially now, is focus and mindset. And so a morning routine, and I'd love to find out what you guys want to talk about that, but the morning routine can totally change the way that you see your day. It can make or break a business. It can make or break a relationship. It can make or break everything. So could you guys maybe share whatever you'd like to about that?
Sure. Kathy, we're very boring. We have a routine. You know, it's funny, even when we go into restaurants, because we always frequent the same restaurants. And then at those restaurants, we always order the same thing. So they know when we're coming in, they already start putting the order in. But that's our life. Our life, like we wake up and we're up by 5 o'clock in the morning. We have 3 dogs, so we have to get up. And we get up that early because if we don't, our day wouldn't start till 9 o'clock. We get up at 5 o'clock. We walk the dogs. We feed the dogs. We work out. Now it's like about 6 o'clock. We come home. It's 6:30, and now I'm ready to start making a high vibrational breakfast. And that's usually either one of 2 things. It's either an acai bowl with a whole bunch of stuff in it, or it's a smoothie with a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables in it. Because for us, that helps our mind. You know, it's not we do not, the one thing we do not do is have a high carbohydrate breakfast unless it's on the weekend, because the rest of our day is going to be shot. It's so hard for us to function after we've had a heavy or high carb type of breakfast. So we eat something that's very high vibrational food. We have matcha tea in the morning. We have our acai. Our mornings are very, very, very routine. We get in the shower by 8:30. We're dressed, ready to go. Jay's ready to go earlier than that, and then the day starts.
You know, and the other thing too is, like, just from a vibrational, if I can lend some tips to the audience watching here, was something that I've recently implemented in my life is just the breathing techniques. Like when I wake up in the morning, to really, and you take this little stuff for granted. It's really crazy. But even just, I don't even think it's within a month, I started utilizing these breathing techniques, and next thing you know, it sets the tone for my day. I mean, I'm just in a rhythm. I mean, I sleep better, and the vibrations there, because often you wake up. I mean, my belief system is, when we wake up, the spirit is snapped back into the body. So maybe it takes a second to adapt, right? So what I'm trying to do is to let my body adapt to the spirit that connected with me there, and then I start the day. And I think that if we can look at it that way, people start to look at it that way, I think they'll find the easier. I believe definitely the 5 o'clock routine is just a game changer for us. I know people like, well, I sleep in. Well, you know, whatever, sleeping on the weekend. But if you're in business and you want to accomplish something,
you got to get up.
If you want to, if you're in business and if you want,
there's no end for buts about it.
Yeah, exactly. If you're in business and you want to, you know, you're in business just for whatever reason you're in business. You all know your reasons. But if you're in business to conquer the world, Well, conquering the world does not, you know, part
Doesn't
of that
start at
formula
9 o'clock in the
doesn't
morning.
start after you take a nap or whatever like that. You go and you go and you give it everything you got. And, you know, so it's again, not put my values on anybody, but it just depends where you're at. We choose to say we want to make an impact in the world. An impact in the world for us is like, look, we got to get there. We got to discipline. We intermittent fast often. And,
which has been a game changer.
Which has been a game changer for us. And that's where we feel like we get our inspiration. Like, for example, like it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon here for us in Florida. And we haven't eaten because we know,
Well,
like,
we had the sale.
oh yeah, we had the bowl, like whatever, like 6 o'clock this morning, whatever
Yeah.
that was. But we haven't eaten since then because we know that when we're in these moments, we want to really be as clear as a channel to be able to offer up the best intuitive insight we can.
Mhm.
Yeah, I actually test on it. What should I have for lunch or whatever? But I don't eat until 11 o'clock usually.
Yeah.
And do a lot of shakes. I'm a vegetarian.
Good for you.
Yeah, I tried being a vegan. That didn't work too well. But I do think the other part I was going to add was meditation, whether it's a guided meditation or that time to be in silence, that you get to clear and be in your heart long enough that you can share that vibration and realize that everything's a story and see which story you want to create today. So
That's it.
yeah, I wake up, my morning routine, it usually starts with me being totally revisiting a spiritually transformative experience I had almost 20 years ago, which is still integrating, which is unbelievable. It was that big. And so I wake up with that. So it reminds me of the connection to all that is. And then I work on integrating even more of that light. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Really
So,
nice.
but I do think that this conversation about mindset is really important for people, especially as we're going through these times of changes, and the attitude. I mean, for instance, a lot of small businesses pretty much took December off, and it was like, "Hey, you guys, what are you doing?" Well,
December's always our best month.
That's the best month for us.
holidays.
Right, exactly.
What are you talking about? That's when anybody is planning next year.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to talk about, mindset, because I know you guys have a mindset that a lot of people that work with you want to emulate, because you're go-getters, you're trying to create win-wins, you're in full disclosure of what you're doing. And so it's a different way of being in the world than most people who are, again, wearing a costume most of the time, or it's a win-lose that they're creating. I've been in business with this business for 26 years or 24 years. And last Christmas, this past December, was the first time in 24 years that someone totally scammed me.
Oh.
Yeah. And yeah. And it was like, oh, I'm psychic and intuitive. Why didn't I see it? But I didn't see it.
Sometimes you can. And sometimes when you're in it yourself, it's not easy.
Yeah, but I couldn't let that couldn't be my excuse for not showing up for everyone else. See, I mean,
Right.
a lot of people, when they have a failure, they stay trapped in it. They embody the story. They tell the story over and over and over again. So it's like a spell, and it's in their field forever. It's like, do you want some more of that? Okay, here's some more.
Yep.
You know, Kathy, that's a lot with the, you talked earlier about people in the fifth dimensional or having a hard time functioning in the third dimensional. And, what our experience of that is that if you really are in the fifth dimensional fully, then you'll realize that we're also in the third dimensional. We live in both places. So if we can take a look at the aspect, like, okay, so here's how we interpret it. And again, this is our interpretation, is how we roll, right? We interpret this fifth dimension, if you would, is that that's a place where we get the information to play in this third, because I'm pretty sure we can touch and feel each other here. So I'm pretty sure we're here. So in this third dimension. So if that stands to reason, we look at it as a place to get insight. We don't look at it as a place to just hover. So this is not important. And that's the thing that people maybe should try on being careful about when they get into a multidimensional space, of not just living in a multidimensional space and forgetting about where we're at, because we are here. You know what I mean? Whether we want to admit it or not. Someone
Right.
says, "Oh, you know, there's a version of you that's a gazillionaire in this lifetime." Well, that's great. Until I meet that person, I'm still right here. So we have to be very pragmatic until we meet these alternate versions of ourselves, and then if we can look at the fifth dimension again, very a healthy way we found to look at it is that it's a vibration. We bring that information and we apply it here, because this is where we're at now. If those roles were reversed and we live in the fifth dimension and we got to get stuff from here, it'll just be flipping the roles is all it is. So and kind of to your point, as far as the outsource, just a tip for people, whether you're making $50 or $500 or $5,000 or $50,000, take 10% of that right off the top. Set it in an account for marketing. You may not need it for a month or 2 months, but next thing you know, if you add it up and just take 10%, you'll have had what's called a marketing and operational budget to spend money when the opportunity comes.
Mhm.
Okay, setting 10% away for something for when that time comes. Don't even call it a rainy day, because eventually, as your business gets bigger, you'll have to hire, you'll have to outsource.
Call it a rainbow day.
A rainbow, that's great. Yeah, actually, is that you'll have to you'll want to have that money there. And so again, you know, even I remember when I was in insurance, I was that, you know, I had put $5 out of everything, and next thing you know, I had $50 a week. But that $50 a week allowed me to hire an appointment setter, which nobody else had the money to hire an appointment setter, which made me the #1 life insurance agent in this agency, because I was able to spend $50 a week on an appointment setter. So do those kind of things, you know, to set you apart, to be able to have something for yourself.
And the other thing too is, if you feel like you don't have this extra income, just reevaluate, what are you really spending your money on every day? Because chances are you absolutely do have that money, but you're using it for other things that you probably could live without, at least temporarily. So just reevaluate your finances and where you're really spending your money.
Yeah. And are you doing the right thing? Because really, if you're, you know, I mean, maybe you need to reevaluate your profession too. And that may be very thing. If you're not making enough and you feel like you're at an age in your life where you're still struggling or whatever, you just may simply need to reevaluate your actual profession.
And you know what else, Kathy? I am a firm believer of, if you have a business, and I really don't care how much money you spend on your business, and it ain't working out, stop the bleeding, cut the ties, let it go, detach, and move on. But if you're struggling and you're putting money in and money in and money in and money in and money in, and it's not clicking, or it's been months and months, or you're into years and years now and it's not building traction, the universe has been sending you signs that, you know what, maybe this is not really what your passion is. Maybe this is not really what you're meant to do.
Right.
And instead of looking at it and be like, oh my gosh, well, we just put so much freaking money into this, you got to let it go.
That's
right. It's literally just money. Let it go.
Well, and as we're going to go full circle now, because we're almost at the end of our time. What Jay and both April and Jay have mentioned is mentorship. When you have an outside set of eyes, look at your business, look at your obstacles to success, that without any emotional attachment, they will be able to see what you're doing wrong. And
yes.
Hopefully they kindly tell you that. I had someone tell me something. I got off and cried, and they actually contacted me later again. Are you okay? I was like, yes. Yes, thank you for but I mean, seriously, you can't see what you can't see a lot of times.
100%.
Exactly.
But you know in your heart that seriously, I believe that everyone that's here on earth right now, it stood in line to get these bodies, to be here right now, to be a part of this huge change that we're all going to benefit. We can't even imagine how beautiful the next phase of humanity is going to be. And you have every opportunity, because you are part of that divine source, to be a big player in all of it. And so we just want to give you insights that just because we've been in business a long time, we're still learning, we're still growing. The AI changed everything. We're out here doing our best to be in high integrity so that we can help all of you share your genius, which is what we need during these changing times, right, guys?
100%. And you know
Amen.
what? Listen, don't think that. And it's an awesome thing to. I know, like with us, with our businesses, you're right. We have projects we work on, and we're so emotionally attached to that. We have now learned to say, let's hire a consultant.
Let someone else
Let's
look
hire a
at it.
consultant. And you know what? I got to tell you, when I talk to people, here's what I have noticed. And if all you other entrepreneurs are listening to this one and you're up and coming, when you tell your other business associates that, well, you know what, I got a meeting with my consultant, they look at you at a different light. It's a pretty cool thing to say that I got a consultant that can help me, because it shows to them that you are removing your ego for a minute. You're that committed to your business that you're allowing your ego and your emotions to get out of the way so you can make sure that it's done the right way and it can go properly. I tell you, it is whoever people, it is such an important thing, and we all grow into it. Like I said, we're all businesses. We have our own egos, but when you do hire that person that can look at your vision from a very neutral set of lenses, then it's a great thing. You'll really it'll be an enjoyable experience.
Great. Well, thank you. We're at the end of our time. This is our second, the Quantum Business Show, and hopefully you all have enjoyed this and have benefited from our interaction. And you can see we're very aligned with wanting to share love and help people show up in their brightest possibility for now and in the future. And so hopefully we'll see you at the next one. Please share this on any groups or any of your friends that are small business owners that are looking to learn how to ride the wave right now. You can ride the wave and be in it or on top of it. And we're
just don't be under it.
That's what I mean. Be on the surfboard. Don't be in the wave. So anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Much love.
Thank you, April. Love you.
Love you too.
Too.